Well, you heard the man. How's it going? There we go. Sorry about that. Still getting the hang of this shit. What's up? This is your Uncle Mike Abominator here with another Demo Stacks installment for your listening and viewing displeasure. We are going to talk about classic bands, more importantly, a classic era of the band. So maybe some of the stuff they did later on, this stack has a big theme of that, fortunately or unfortunately. But as far as I'm concerned, their classic era, the stuff that I prefer, just some of my absolute favorites of all time, and stuff that I still listen to this day. So you might have seen the pictures online of the 6 demos I'm going to be talking about. We're doing the same format that I did last episode. So we got a stack of 6. Going to play some short clips. I had to, a couple of these bands are like massive now, especially in Europe. So I had to grab some live stuff. So I don't want to hit the YouTube copyright shit again. And, I don't want to get in trouble on that end. Actually, I need to upload the first band's video real quick. But let's get into that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and load the video up, the music, and listen to that real quick. Hard to believe that band, AMORPHIS, is the same band that's around today that kind of sounds like the Doors or something, So, yeah, they really switched up their styles. But absolutely fucking love this fucking demo. The Disment of Soul. Don't even know what disment means. Something brutal, right? Something soul destroying, probably. So let's get into AMORPHIS a little bit. You know how it goes with these Demo Stacks episodes. Going to talk about the band a little bit of their history, their classic logo there. And this is a real I guess it's the same logo. Yeah, it is the same logo. It's just smaller. I thought this was like a more raw version of the logo. But AMORPHIS was formed in 1990. And obviously they're one of the more known Finnish death metal bands back in the day. They were formed in the ashes of this band, Violent Solution, which is more of a thrash band, and here they are. I think at least a couple of these guys went on to AMORPHIS, maybe all 3 of them. I forget when I was doing the research. Back to these guys, though. So AMORPHIS was much heavier, much more brutal. And then here they are back in the day. There it is. Death metal shirts, jeans, flannels, fucking hair farming. That's the way to do it. It's looks a lot better to headbang with long hair for sure. I look like a weirdo up there with a bald head. So I used to have hair, man. That was a long fucking time ago. There's another classic picture of the boys hanging out in some weird alley in Finland, getting crazy, ready to drink, find some trouble. So I used to write to Essa, the guitar player, cool guy, one of the there we go. And in the Finnish death metal scene, one of the dudes that got this demo from him, and kind of AMORPHIS, I remember started seeing stuff around for this demo and seeing the logo around right when Aberrance was kind of not as active, possibly. And I know that these guys have shared members or whatnot. I know Tommy from Aberrance ended up joining AMORPHIS as well. And we played on this demo too, if I'm not mistaken. I am going by my dead brain cells. But there's 3 songs on here. The Disment of Soul title track, the classic Excusing from Existence, and the other classic Privilege of Evil. So let's bring the demo cover up. So that's this motherfucker right here. There's the layout. Disment of Soul, heavy duty. So that video footage that I showed you is live in Finland in 1990. So early show that they did. And yeah, they were I just totally fucking love this demo. Absolute fucking classic. It was when bands started getting really heavy, you know, and this was early on. The Finnish bands really worshipped Bolt Thrower and Carcass. So they had a nice mix of the grind with with that slow, heavy stuff, mid-pace stuff too. So that's on here. The first song, the title track, the vocals are a little odd actually, where it's almost like sounds like he's snorting, but not like in a gore grind Carcass way, just accidental. I think he was trying to get pretty low. And you know how it goes back then. You know, they were just kids jamming in some youth center studio, whatever. I think Finland was very similar to Sweden, from what I've heard. They have youth centers and whatnot, and a lot of the engineers, I mean, kind of like here too. A lot of the producers and engineers actually out here, even they don't know how to handle something aggressive like that, like, you know, heavy death metal. So I'm sure those engineers over there working on this maybe didn't know 100% what they were doing, but still came out fucking killer. Vocals kind of even out halfway through the song. I think finally started getting that, you know, deep growl going, and you know, it's not easy doing that shit. Trust me. Not only am I a death metal singer, I play one on TV too. Remember that? I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. Anyways, yeah, yeah. Disment of Soul, AMORPHIS, absolutely fucking rules. Here's that again, and the next thing they did was they got signed to Relapse, and they did the 7-inch, and I think they had an Aberrance cover on there, if I'm not mistaken, and one original Misery Path, maybe one of those songs off the first album. And then they did this awesome album, the Karelian Isthmus. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but you remember this when this came out. 1992 on Relapse Records. Classic album. Very melodic. I mean, I actually prefer this and one of the other releases I'm going to talk about shortly. But this was totally badass. Really, really fucking cool. You know, they kind of went nuts with the next album, the next actual Amorphis album, you know, Tales from the Thousand Lakes and the Black Winter Day EP. I didn't really get into those too much. I know everybody loves Tales from the Thousand Lakes. It's a classic to a lot of people. That's fine. I just never got into it. I actually prefer this, The Privilege of Evil. And that was put out in 93 by Relapse, but it was interesting because initially it was supposed to come out in like 91, 92 as a split with Incantation. And the split didn't happen. That would have been a heavy duty split. These Amorphis tracks and the Incantation stuff that ended up being the Blasphemous Creation release that Incantation put out. So it's pretty fucking heavy duty. So yeah, that would have been a hell of a split. But I don't know what happened. I don't know what was going on behind that. But it didn't happen. And I got one more thing I got to bring up here. Kind of a funny story. So when Amorphis came here, let's see. Sorry, I got all these slides going on and I'm recording this live, so I'm trying to grab something here. Okay, here it is. This was funny. So it's funny because I was talking to Bay from Sadistic Intent the other day. And so Gothic Records was the original name where Dark Realm, Gothic became Dark Realm with a store. And the original name was Gothic. And over the years, the boys have had many bands come in because Rick and Bay were writing to everybody, just like we were, me and my crew were, and made a lot of friends through pen pals and stuff like that. So yeah, Rick and Bay are OG as fuck. So they were doing the same thing I was doing, really. And actually, Rick and Bay got me into some good bands as well. So that was cool. They got me into some killer stuff overseas and whatnot, turned me on to some good tapes and albums over the years. So they had Entombed and Amorphis who were touring together, and this was 94. So, you know, and by this time, Amorphis, I didn't really like what they were doing. You know, they were doing their weird rock thing, keyboard-driven rock or whatever the hell they were doing. And then Entombed had the Wolverine Blues stuff. I didn't get into that either. So both of these bands were, you know, as far as I was concerned, I didn't, you know, not something that I'd be into, whatever. But we went down to hang out. Me and a couple of my buddies went down there just to hang out, have some beers, and, you know, talk to the Entombed guys. Were always cool. You know, they're all old school, underground, old tape traders and old maniacs from the days. And same with the Amorphis guys, you know. So wanted to go reconnect with old pen pals, you know, because me and my buddies would write to Nick K and LG from Entombed. And then, like I said, I was a pen pal with Essa from Amorphis. So it was cool. Got to reconnect with everybody, even though I didn't really listen to the music. But we talked about the old days, of course. And but yeah, Essa was just, he didn't really want to talk about this demo here. He wanted to forget all about it. He thought it sounded horrible. And I was like, what? You're crazy, man. You were totally crazy. But yeah, that's the in-store that we hung out at back in 94 over at Gothic Records. And I thought it was pretty funny. Essa was not down for this, man. He wants to bury it in time and dust. Forget all about it. He doesn't want anything to do with it. So, but I fucking love this demo. It's fucking heavy as fuck. It was definitely, Amorphis was one of the early bands that started getting really fucking heavy duty. So I definitely love it. And look it up. You can look it up on YouTube. AMORPHIS, Disment of Soul. All right. All right. You are listening and watching to the Welcome to Hell episode 12. And this is the Demo Stacks Volume 5. The next band. We are now going next door to Finland, to Sweden. Dissection. Everybody knows Dissection at this point. And you're probably, most people are familiar with the classic albums, which are excellent. The two in the 90s, The Somber Lane and Storm of the Light's Bane. And Dissection was formed in 1989. So I actually got this demo from John. John was a pen pal of mine. Really cool guy. Really into the underground. He was actually in a band by the name of Rabbit's Carrot. And I had some Rabbit's Carrot stuff, and I don't know if I still have it. I think I have a demo or two. They put out 3 or 4 tapes back in the day. More thrash stuff. It was pretty cool. I found out about that band through the Septicore fanzine. My buddy Theory did that. He was out of Belgium. That fanzine was out of Belgium, and he did a really cool compilation tape series that accompanied the fanzine called Morbid Noise. Rabbit's Carrot was on one of the Morbid Noise compilations, and I had found out about Rabbit's Carrot through that, and then shortly thereafter that, when I was corresponding, that's when we started writing. And then once this started making the rounds or whatever, he definitely sent me a copy. I had to get the copy, and this is The Grief Prophecy. It was released in 1991. So there's 3 songs on this beast. There's an intro as well. So Severed into Shreds, The Call of the Mists, and Consumed is on this classic demo. And for those unfamiliar, the old Dissection Down sound is more straight up death metal. So I'm going to play a clip real quick so you can check it out. Yeah, killer, man. Killer. Sounded like I just thought they had a nice Morbid Angel and Autopsy vibe, with this stuff. And, heavy fucking death, man. Heavy fucking death. And, there's a little bit of melody going on there that obviously, John used later with the later material. I always thought that Dissection, with what is considered their classic era to a lot of people, the 2 albums obviously was they had a lot of Iron Maiden and Priest, mainly Maiden though, you know, just with the passages, the songwriting, the guitar work, you know, especially live. I always thought, yeah, they're kind of like a death metal, black death metal Iron Maiden or something, you know. So let's get into the history a little bit, but that gives you an idea of what this demo sounds like to those that haven't heard this old material. Like some people haven't dug deeper into the past with artists, you know, maybe they just relate to their mainstream work or whatever albums they put out or whatever. They haven't discovered the demos, maybe for whatever reason, maybe they prefer not to, or they just don't know about it, you know. But here is their classic logo from the old days. Found a couple cool pictures too. I mean, look at that, man. I mean, John can't be more than like 13, 14 in that picture. So you got the classic, you know, you got some flannel, some denim, got the fucking Nocturnus shirt. That shirt was, that was an interesting one there. I don't remember seeing gray, but maybe, I mean, it looks gray, but, you know, maybe it's a different color in this picture. I know that there was a white one that was going around here in LA. I never got a Nocturnus shirt, but that was the Science of Horror era demo shirt. So, but I like the dude on the right there with the hand-drawn Morbid Angel on his denim. I did that too, man. Although mine didn't look as cool as that. You know, these kids were a lot more talented than I was at their age, for sure. These fucking kids are badass motherfuckers. And, you know, because, I mean, you listen to this demo, this is right around the time, because this is a very early Dissection picture. So I can't believe they were, you know, recording such awesome material. So up in Stromstad, Sweden, man, they had some really good youth centers that took care of people. So there they are jamming. There they are, man. John's got the Les Paul. Fucking jamming out. Getting crazy. Classic pictures, man. Love it. You know, they kind of look like the Nelson, you know, the kids, the blonde kids. Bop or whatever the fuck that song was called. But yeah, this is much more brutal for sure. These fucking kids, man. Unfucking believable. Very cool. And I wasn't even aware how young John was when I was writing to him, you know, because most of the people I was writing to were older than me, you know, so it was like John was basically the same age I was, I think. Maybe I might have even been a little older by the time we were talking, but I'm not a math guy, so I'm not going to crunch those numbers. Fuck that. We'll be here all day trying to figure that shit out. I'm a death metal guy. There's the demo, the Grief Prophecy. Severed into shreds, the Call of the Mist. Oh, Mist. Sorry, not Mists. And Consumed. Classic stuff. So then an amazing 7-inch into infinite obscurity, into infinite obscurity. And that 7-inch was on Corpse Grinder Records, and we've talked about Corpse Grinder before. It was a small world back then, you know. A lot of these bands I'm talking about are on these same classic labels. Corpse Grinder didn't have a lot of releases, but what they did put out was amazing. You know, they put out that Acheron's from Australia. They put out that 7-inch, the classic Macabre End 7-inch, Aboth from Sweden, and a few other things that were just fucking classic. It's a very fucking small world, you know. Some of these labels were just so cool, and then they just disappeared, just like a lot of stuff. So it's interesting. This is a shitty picture here, but I found this online too, so it's kind of blurry. So this is the Somberlane demo of 92. So I'm curious to how this sounded. I'm sure it was pretty raw, you know. I'm interested to hear it. You know, John was kind of really cool about rehearsals and stuff like that. And I tried to look. I could have sworn that he sent me some stuff around this era. And there isn't anything rehearsal-wise on this. It's just the demo. It's just the demo. So the Grief Prophecy. And the way the the tape trading stuff, or getting demos from people. A lot of times they would put some of their other stuff, rehearsals or live stuff, or just other demos on the flip side, or they just fill up a 90-minute or 120-minute tape full of good stuff if they had a lot of material. So, but I could have sworn that John had sent some rehearsal stuff, but as of right now, I haven't been able to find it. This is their 93 promo, which is also interesting. I didn't get a copy of this. I hadn't been writing to him at this point anymore. We all, like I've stated before, these guys especially got super busy. They started going on tour and doing all kinds of playing out a lot, focusing on the bands. So a lot of the old guard, we stopped writing to each other. And I did the same thing. I started jamming in bands and focusing on music, And then, of course, everybody into metal knows this album, The Somber Lane. And this was 1993. It came out on No Fashion Records out of Sweden. And if you're an underground metalhead, old school, you're familiar with that label. I mean, they were really focusing on black metal, obviously, with that black metal boom, the Bestial Summoning, Marduk, Dark Funeral. But they did a lot of other cool stuff, some death metal stuff, some death thrash stuff, other thrash stuff like Merciless, Fester, that killer unanimated album. And they even did that first Catatonia, so that's kind of doom. They were wearing corpse paint, but they were playing like gothic doom, death, and really cool, that first Catatonia, badass. But yeah, it's an amazing album. I mean, like I said, I prefer this, and the 7-inch is my main Dissection go-to. That's my personal favorite stuff, but it's undeniable that, the Somber Lane is fucking incredible. It's a badass album. I'll throw it on every once in a while for sure. I saw this online too. This would be interesting. I don't know if anybody has a copy of this, or even if it's online, I'll have to take a look, but it's a rough mix of the next album, Storm of the Lightsbane. So I'd be interested to hear that. Maybe I'll look online to see if that's around somewhere, because I'm interested to hear a rough mix of that. I'm a big fan of that type of stuff. Rough mixes, raw studio stuff, all that kind of good stuff. So let's see. Gonna go grab the last file here. And then obviously there's the album. Some people prefer the Somber Lane, some people prefer Storm. This is a great album too. This is the tour that they did. So this came out in 95 on Nuclear Blast, and they did the tour with At the Gates of Morbid Angel, and they were incredible. I think I saw 3 or 4 shows on that tour, just because I was pen pals with John. I was pen pals with Tompa from At the Gates. So, I always, as you can tell, I always have a lot of Swedish bands on my shows and my playlist and talk about them. It's just, there was so many unbelievably killer bands from Sweden. So that's, we got a good connection with the Swedes, me and my crew. So, it's undeniable, so the Swedish death metal and even some of that next wave of Swedish black metal was fucking awesome. So, when not only did I, kind of roam around and follow the tour a little bit, like San Diego, let's see, because they played Santa Fe Springs, they played Corona, they played San Diego, and then I believe we went up to the Bay Area to see him up there. So yeah, me and my buddies saw him like 4 times on that tour. So it was cool hanging out with everybody and reconnecting with those guys. And then after the Santa Fe Springs, Los Angeles area show, Rick and Bay had Dissection and At the Gates over at Dark Realm, and we had an after party there. You know, fucking till the sun came up, you know, and we just talked about good times. And I was wearing a Mob 47 shirt or something like that, and those Swedes were just tripping out, man, because both Dissection and At the Gates are, you know, especially Tompa, you know, he's a old crusty dude, so they were just tripped. Fuck yeah, so we started talking about Swedish punk and asocial and all that crazy stuff. And but yeah, just being able to hang out with John and Thomas Tompa, it was cool. And I was ragging on John about Rabbit's Carrot and whatnot, which was a good band. It was just a funny name, you know. I had him cracking up about it. Good dude, man. Rest in peace, John. You know, to be honest with you, I lost track of the band after this, and I know that he went to prison for a while, and then they had that Reycanos album, whatever it was called. I heard like parts of a couple songs off that. I just couldn't get into it for whatever reason. I might have to go back and check it out, but I wasn't planning on talking about that today or anything else they did after that, you know, after this original era. Just no particular reason, just, you know, I don't really know anything about it. Don't have an opinion about that album. And, you know, it's a bummer having a old pen pal, you know, no longer here, very influential dude in music. So rest in peace, John. And this is the Grief Prophecy classic Dissection demo. Go check it out. One of my all-time favorites. Classic. All right, sickos. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, spread this around. Any assholes out there that like this type of shit, spread it around. Next up, NECRONY, however you want to say it. I've heard it pronounced. My old beat up NECRONY demo. Mangled and beat up. Classic. Love this fucking demo. Another Swedish band formed in 1990. So there was a lot of bands between, you know, I guess starting in 90, going through to 92 that were hugely influenced by Carcass. And this was like pre-gore grind stuff, you know, but I don't even think that term was coined yet. But NECRONY was one of the first ones. And as with anything, you know, the first wave is usually the best. So, you know, NECRONY and Exhumed, you know, they were kind of the elite. You know, this General Surgery, obviously fucking amazing. So those particular bands were fucking awesome. You know, there's some other killer ones. It's not necessarily my cup of blood, but I love fucking classic Carcass. So I loved all the, you know, I don't even call them clones. It's just, you know, I mean, you could tell by the cover that these dudes were definitely into Carcass. And I actually got this demo from a local dude named Tony. He was just an underground freak. He had come here from Central America and just was collecting all kinds of crazy shit. And he would show me a bunch of stuff I'd never heard of, and NECRONY was one of them, you know. So he did start bootlegging, but he actually did have copies. You know, he would buy copies of demos from bands, and apparently this is an original from the band. But I know at some point he did start bootlegging because, you know, he did start hanging out with a couple of well-known bootlegs here in the Los Angeles area, and they joined forces, and next thing you know, so. But yeah, he would. There was a couple of people that I know that would buy 2 or 3 copies of demos and whatnot, and they would sell them. And I was just one of those people that got lucky at that point, because if people didn't hear of stuff like this, they weren't going to buy it. Oh, it sounds like Carcass, but you know, that's the sales pitch, right? But not everybody would buy it. But I was like, fuck yeah, I'm a sucker for that shit. I'll buy it. So anything that Tony had was fucking killer too, you know. So especially Finland and Sweden bands, you know, if they were really obscure shit, you know, I would just scoop it up from him at that point. And he actually lived in Orange County, where I was living at the time too, in the early 90s. So I was always going over to Anaheim to go talk to him and see what he had. And he was always accepting of my $10. I would pay $10, you know, because he'd probably get the demos for 4 or 5, maybe 3, between 3 and 5, something like that. You know, it's a good profit for him, but I didn't give a shit. I was hungry for the demos, as you know, as you can tell. So this was this demo, Severe Malignant Pustule, was recorded in 1991. There's 6 songs and an intro and outro. So it's a long one, but you know, the songs, you know how they go, kind of grindy, short death metal blasters. The songs are Masticator of a Swollen Carcass, Hill of Cadavers, Consuming Cartilage, Decomposed Genitals, and then I don't even know what the hell, pus, blah, 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 bile or whatever. I don't know, some weird thing in the middle there. I don't even, not even going to try to pronounce that. And then Severe Malignant Pustule, the title track, ends the demo. So those are the songs that are on here. Let me show you the demo real quick. Cover. And there's the boys. I just thought that was cool. Dan Wall wearing a Dead Kennedy shirt. That was interesting. There's Ricard and Anders, who later went on to Nasum, who I'll talk about in a bit. So that is this classic demo. That's the cover. Here's their classic logo. I guess it's their only logo. You know, some of these bands change logos or whatever. And then here is a band photo of the boys. Cool Repulsion shirt. Chilling. I don't know. Is that an entrance to a cemetery? Is that a atrium? Is that a phone booth? Is that the Volvo factory? It's not funny at all, huh? But the guys are they're ready to fucking death grind it up. They're ready to fucking get disgusting. So the Mucopurulent Miscarriage 7-inch. I don't know what the fucking saying that right. That's that one. You've probably seen that around. I have a copy of this, and I'm need to grab my 7 inches at some point and do some 7-inch stacks. But right now we're just focusing on demo stacks. But this was on Poser Slaughter Records out of Germany, another obscure label that just ended up falling by the wayside, but put up some classic shit. They did the band Dead, and they did a Dead release. These are 7 inches for the most part. They did a Dead Regurgitate split. Master's Hammer, fucking one of my old favorites. Their old stuff's badass. They did a classic Gourmet 7-inch. They did a Nasum Agathocles split, among other things. And then also on Poser Slaughter is their full length Pathological Performances, which is fucking awesome too. And like I said, it's on Poser Slaughter, so you know this is all stuff that's probably out of print, but we'll get into, you know, they did a compilation at one point. But I wasn't aware of this. I'm going to have to hunt this down. This is a promo tape for 1993 and 1994, and I never even knew about it until I started doing research, so that's fucking awesome. That's definitely something I would like for my collection. I mean, I obviously, I probably won't be able to get a actual copy of this or even a bootleg of the tape, but I'd like to check out the songs, so I need to do some hunting down of that. One of the fucking cool things that I fucking found though was this. So it's a takeoff of the Carcass album, but this is Necronicism, Distorting the Originals. So they do covers of Carcass, obviously, a fucking killer Impetigo cover, Disorganized. They do a couple Repulsion songs. They do a Cenotaph by Bolt Thrower, do some Napalm Death, and then they do a Carnage cover at the end, Crime Against Humanity. So that's fucking awesome. And you look close, it's got their pictures. I don't think those are the Carcass guys. I think that's the Necrony guys, but I might be. I don't know. I'm not really into that Carcass album that they're imitating at all. Actually, I know that's fucking blasphemy. Some of the shit that I'm talking about on my shows, some of you fuckers are probably like, what's wrong with this guy? Something wrong with him. Hey, man, I just, not my thing. But it's a great parody, if you will. I thought it was hilarious and fucking awesome. Cool sense of humor on that. And then Regain Records just last year put out this compilation. I didn't fact check it officially and do the stats and all that stuff, but it looks like it's their complete discography. So Regain's a huge label in Europe, so yeah, hunt that down. They I'm sure they did some fancy booklets and shit like that, maybe enhanced the sound, took the tape hiss out. Obviously that's cool. Hopefully they didn't fuck with the raw recording too much, but classic fucking demo, one of my all-time favorites. Fucking if you like grindy death, let me grab a song real quick. Check it out. Yeah, fucking brutal. There you go. Necrony demo. Check it out. Some heavy duty shit. Sweden strikes again. And as I had mentioned, Anders and Ricard from Necrony went on to form Nazem. And a little bit after that, Mieszko joined. And then obviously that band went on to be pretty popular on Relapse Records and do some, it became known worldwide, so I know there's probably a lot of Nazem fans out there. So rest in peace, Mieszko, and hails to Necrony as well. So classic stuff. All right. We're about halfway through, you crazy sickos. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Welcome to Hell, episode 12, Demo Stacks, volume 5. We got a lot more of these fucking things coming up. Got some cool stuff planned for you sickos. So next up, we are going to Halifax, West Yorkshire, England. In the year of the late 80s, 1987, 1988. Paradise. Fucking Lost. The Frozen Illusion demo. Heavy, 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 heavy death. Very heavy. So, Paradise Lost did the Morbid Existence demo in 88. I think the band was formed in 87. Forgot to write that down. But it doesn't matter. Somewhere around there, right? And they are part of the quote-unquote Peaceville 3, or I like to call them the Deadly Trio. So it's Paradise Lost, My Dying Bride, and Anathema, however you want to pronounce that. But we definitely know how to pronounce Paradise fucking Lost. This is one of the heaviest demos ever. I know that's hard to believe. You know, you kind of, people are more familiar with their Metallica era, maybe, not for their wallets and their bank accounts. So they're laughing all the way to the bank. But yeah, they did the Morbid Existence demo in 88. Never got a copy of that. That had only one song on it. And then the Paradise Lost demo in 88 as well. I have that, and I just had it recently, and I think I was showing it in some pictures online, and then got misplaced again. So it's somewhere in my front office. But I'll save that for another Demo Stack show anyways, so no biggie. And this beast came out in 89. 3 songs, Paradise Lost, Eternal Torment, and the title track. Let's get into some live footage from that era real quick. Check it out. Fucking brutal, man. Fucking brutal. I wish I would have saw him live, seen him live in that era. But, you know, I wasn't hanging out in England at that time. Never been, unfortunately. And they weren't over here, so they didn't come over here till later. Although they were incredible live. Saw them with Morbid Angel in like 92, 93, somewhere around there. And I thought they blew Morbid Angel off the stage. I think it was Morbid Angel Creator and Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost opened. Fucking tore both those bands a new asshole. I mean, you saw there, and this was the Gothic era, which is a great fucking album too. But they played a lot of Lost Paradise songs. So back to this demo era real quick. Fucking, again, unbelievably classic. Get my fat fingers out of the way. Frozen Illusion. If I didn't already rave about it. So here's the OG logo. We'll get into a little bit of the history. And that's their classic logo. There's the boys hanging out in a greenhouse, maybe trying to get some weed. Dude in the front rocking a some sort of blouse. That's all right. The English can get away with that. And dude on the right's got a Misfits shirt, it looks like. That's fucking awesome. Nick and Greg back there, fucking chilling. Nick looks like he's hungover. Greg looks like he's fucking maybe on something. It's all good. Dude in the middle's, I don't know the other guy's name. Sorry, fellas. No disrespect. But I know there's like one guy named Aaron. I don't know which one's that. Maybe the guy in the middle. Anyways, fucking classic fucking hair farmer shit going on there, man. Hanging out in the greenhouse. Here's the Paradise Lost demo. So instead of a lyric sheet, they just have a weird thank list. A big thanks to Hammy, and the yada yada helped us so far. And then here is the Frozen Illusion. There's the 3 songs produced by Hammy. Seems like kind of these guys maybe hung out with Hammy quite a bit. I had actually forgotten. Oh, there's the guys' names. Nick, Tuds, Aaron. Yes, I know Aaron. There's Gregor, and then there's Steve. Tuds. Fucking awesome. What's up, Tuds? Yeah, again, they're really into the thank lists, apparently. I have to, there is no lyric sheet in this one. So, again, this fucking demo is unbelievably classic, totally fucking heavy. Raw, just crushing. And kind of similar to AMORPHIS, there wasn't a lot of bands that were this fucking heavy in '89. So, I mean, Paradise Lost even was before AMORPHIS in that sense. There was just something going on in England. Napalm was setting speed records, and Carcass was disgusting. Bolt Thrower and Paradise Lost were unbelievably heavy. So, yeah, there was some crazy shit going on over there. Now, there it is. One of my all-time favorite classic albums. Unreal. It's one of those rare cases where it's like, because I'm a demo guy, right? Oh, the demos are better. Yeah, but this fucking album is just so dark and depressing and dismal, fucking heavy. But like I said, I love the fucking demos, I think the demos might be heavier sound-wise, but this album is just so dark and depressing and dismal and dreary. It's perfection. Everything about it. You can hear everything perfectly. It's just so stark and hopeless. The atmosphere, it just crushes your soul in that sense. There's the In-Dub classic remix. I believe I had that at one point. I think I ended up giving this to a buddy of mine who he really wanted this badly. And I got offered a lot of money for it because it was pretty rare. I got it at Wild Rags when it came out. So it's just a remix of a couple of the songs from Lost Paradise. It's not like a DJ remix like that. It's just basically kind of redone like measurements and orders of the riffs and stuff like that, kind of just a little bit different. It's hard to explain. You could look it up on YouTube. I'm sure it's on there. I didn't even look, but I ended up giving it to my buddy, whatever. It's like, I fucking love it. I just didn't listen to it all that much because I usually just put the demos and Lost Paradise on, and then occasionally Gothic too, because I fucking think Gothic's awesome. And Paradise Lost was really into videos. This video is fucking badass. I had this VHS, and my old VHS tapes is a fucking long, stupid story, but I don't have them anymore. Lost, stolen, okay, you name it. Just everything happened to them. Thrown away. Classic. This is basically just, Lost Paradise album and another song or two for the demos, front to back, fucking badass. And then this made the rounds too. I had this fucking video, the Hard and Heavy series. They did a Grindcore special issue, and they had a bunch of bands on there. Paradise Lost was on there, playing live, and all the bands were brutal. Prophecy of Doom was awesome. Morbid Angel, Bolt Thrower. Yeah, it was killer. think they just played the Left Hand Path and Tomb video, and they played like an old Carcass song. But it was killer. It was killer because, you know, MTV fucking sucked, and there really wasn't a lot going on. Let's see that. Back to the Lost Paradise really quick. This was 1990. The in-dub was also 1990. This video was also 1990, and I didn't get this until probably, I don't even remember. 91, 92 probably. So, but yeah, it was classic. And then the Gothic album, like I'm talking about, I love this album. It's still heavy as fuck. It's got some different, you know, female singing, some keyboards. You could tell they were going into a different direction, but it's still fucking killer. It's amazing. And then when they played here, that's the tour. That's the album they were touring on, you know, opening for Morbid Angel and Creator. And they just pulverized both of those bands. Creator was past their prime as far as I'm concerned. And then Morbid Angel was kind of going downhill at that point. You know, it was the album after Covenant. I don't even keep track of their albums at that point. Maybe Domination or something. I don't know. Some of you might like those later Morbid Angel stuff or whatever, but it might have been the Covenant tour. I didn't like Covenant when it came out, though. There's something about it that bothered me, even though there's some classic songs on there from the couple, like one or two demo songs, but or older material songs they redid. But later on, I appreciated it. I think a buddy of mine snuck Covenant on my iPod at the time in the mid 2005, 6, somewhere around there, maybe 2007. Put Covenant on my iPod. He snuck it on there at a party and synced it up. And I'm driving around, you know, a few months later, iPod's on random in the car, and Covenant comes on. You know, what the fuck? This is pretty good. So yeah, I was just being an ass. Just being an ass about Covenant. It's a fucking killer album. But yeah, Frozen Illusion, Paradise Lost. Look this up, listen to it. You heard the live shit that I just played that might surprise you if you've never heard them. Or heard their old stuff. I mean, you're used to the that weird later Metallica stuff they did. Yeah, Shades of God, moving forward after that. I just couldn't get into it. Icon. I remember some of the album titles, and then after that I just lost track. I know they tried to return to form at one point, but I couldn't get into that either. So, but the classic era Paradise Lost is unreal to me. Some of my favorite stuff of all time for sure. So I had to include the Frozen Illusion demo in this demo stack. All right, next up, Revenant, the pride of Jersey, and one of the most beloved cult bands that we have in the underground, had whatever you want to say it, but this is their 1990 demo. It's got 3 songs: Distant Eyes, Asphyxiated Time, and Degeneration. Those are classics that kind of appeared on other recordings, 7 Inches, other demos, whatnot. This is my favorite of theirs. This is their 3rd demo. So they were formed all the way back in 1986 in New Jersey. And I actually wrote to Henry Vajian, forgot how to pronounce that 100%. Hopefully I'm getting that right, but he was known as Veg, V-E-G. And I also wrote to a guy by the name of John McKenty, who was in Revenant 2 at the time. So John played on the first 2 demos. So let me play some of this 1990 demo real quick, and then we'll get into some history. Here you go.
Liquefied in the immortal soul, emotions will extinguish within the flaming eyes. The voice of the spirit, let the body die. The essence of my life force, down my flaming chain, undergird eternal being, trapped within the sun. purified. Die!
Yeah, classic. Kind of a full circle moment too, not too long ago. I saw Henry online. I'm not connected with them on social media or anything or any online platforms, but I know he's friends with some people I know, and he was praising Ruin, my band. So I thought that was cool. Not only was he talking about how the band photo was awesome, because we had the imagery with the knives and the masks and shit like that in one of the pictures he was talking about, and but he was praising the music too. So I was like, wow, that's fucking cool. Because I mean, fucking looked up to these guys, man. These fucking demos are pretty incredible, So that writing to both Henry, Veg, and John McKenty, those guys. Revenant was my introduction to the Eastern Seaboard, East Coast, crazy death metal scene that exploded, in those glorious times, as my buddy Brian Pattison, rest in peace, Brian, used to say, the Glorious Times book author. That's what we called it, the Glorious Times, back in the old tape trading days of the 80s and 90s. And like I said, Revenant is a beloved band of that era just because, they didn't explode onto bigger and better things, so to speak, and go out there and tour and put out a bunch of albums, and they're not around, like some of their contemporaries of the time, but they're still well respected and well loved. So real quick, let's get into the history. This is their classic logo. And one of my regrets is I don't think I got a Revenant shirt ever, from memory serves me correctly. Kind of bummed about that. I mean, I used to write to Henry and John quite a bit. So here's a band photo. The classic era, like 1990 era. I don't think John played on this demo. He played on the first two, though, which was Beyond the Winds of Sorrow. Crazy vomiting broccoli looking design or whatever. But, that's old school, man. That was 1987. So classic, just hand drawn, the tape cover, just hand drawn song titles written out. Fucking awesome. After that was the Asphyxiated Time demo, and that was 1988, as it says there. And I have these two. I was gonna show them, but again, I think they're probably in the same box with that other Paradise Lost demo too, somewhere. So somewhere in there, buried under a bunch of junk. But I need to try to organize these things a little better. I do have some tape cases or whatnot, but it's just a pain in the ass. Been busy with other shit, So here we go, 1990 demo. That's the one we're talking about mainly today. And 3 songs, like I said, Distant Eyes, Asphyxiated Time, and Degeneration. Totally fucking classic, as you heard with that track. And yeah, real quick too. I really, like I said earlier, I got into the Eastern Seaboard, East Coast bands, and it seemed like John was in a bunch of them because at the time John was like helping out Profanatica, he was helping out Mortician. He was jamming with these bands, and obviously he started Incantation too, and then Will was in Incantation, Will Romer, and that's how I got connected with a lot of people. So when I started, I think I started writing to Veg, but then I forget exactly why I wrote to John. Like I said in the past, a lot of times you would write to multiple people in bands. because when you were tape trading, you know, John might have a different list of stuff than Henry, you know, and John was a little bit more active with trading too. So I think he was a little bit more into the underground in that sense. Because John really got me into a lot of stuff. So, you know, he would pack flyers in there, and that's how I found out about agoraphobia and suffocation and immolation, you know, even seeing some of the rigor mortis flyers pre-immolation, you know, as they were called rigor mortis prior to that. And a lot of those old bands, like I said, Apparition, and go on and on and on. Deceased. You know, that's how I found out about Hazarax, and, you know, just so many fucking classic and killer bands. So then they did the Distant Eyes 7-inch on Thrash Records. And again, Thrash, I think Thrash Records might be my favorite old school obscure underground label. They put out so much killer shit. Definitely one of my all-time faves, for sure. I mean, they did the Fatal 7-inch, the Carbonized 7-inch, Hideous Mangalus, Exit 13, Vital Remains, Afflicted, so many others. And then those are just the 7-inches. They did full lengths by Sentenced, Epitaph, Mega Slaughter, Carbonized, that classic World Without God Convulse album. Just unbelievable. Look that up. Look up their release discography on Thrash Records. It's just pretty insane. So much good shit. So the cool thing is at least Revenant put out a full length on Nuclear Blast in 1991. That's Prophecies of a Dying World. And it's fucking killer. It's got a lot of these demo songs on there and some other new stuff. It's fucking awesome. It's great death thrash, a lot of technical ability, but, you know, there's catchy riffs, and it has everything that you want and some killer death thrash, you know. I mean, it's death metal, you know what I mean? It just has that thrashy element to it because these guys came out in 86, and Henry, he stayed true to form in that sense. And that, you know, he kept his conviction. He didn't change his style up to follow any trends or anything like that. He just kept it the death metal that he knows how to play, you know. And since they started a little bit earlier in 86, you know, they had one foot still in kind of the ripping thrash genre, you know. So that's how a lot of the death metal sounded. It was really influenced by really good, fast, and heavy thrash metal. So, and I don't know what happened after this album with Nuclear Blast. I know, you know, things got really corporate and whatnot, and maybe Revenant got lost in the shuffle with, you know, things started getting a little heavy. You know, in that sense, because Entomb blew up, Carcass blew up, and maybe stuff like this wasn't in vogue or whatever. I don't know. You know, fucking a lot of us still loved it, you know, regardless. Like I said, they're a beloved band, so well respected, well loved. So the next release they did was on my buddies Ed Farsky and Joe Pupo, Rage Records. They put out the Exalted Being. My boys Ed and Joe put out a lot of cool stuff, like talked about the Ex Mortis 7-inch a couple episodes ago, 7-inch by another great band, Primeval. They did a Burial 7-inch, Nocturnal, out of New Jersey. My old buddy Tom, his band, classic stuff. Rage Records, man, another one of my old favorite labels in that sense, because they put out some really fucking cool 7-inches. And you know, it was interesting too. Revenant did a bunch of demos just throughout the 90s and started kind of just kept putting stuff out. I didn't keep track of them after that, unfortunately. Like I've been saying, I mean, I personally got busy with my own stuff, you know, working, going to school, jamming in bands, all that kind of stuff, girlfriend, So I wasn't tape trading and active with pen pals at that point. You know, come the mid 90s, I just wasn't doing it. Extreme Music did put out their Dave Rotten's doing a bunch of 10-inch re-releases of like old 7-inches and stuff like that. So this one was really cool because it has the the Distant Eyes 7-inch and the Exalted Being 7-inch. So it's got the Thrash Records 7-inch and the Rage Records 7-inch on there. And, you know, looks like, I mean, this is the only picture that I saw. It looks like it's got some old flyers in there with a little layout, you know, some old show flyers, I'm sure, because Revenant was pretty active in the scene back then. So really cool. Look that up on Extreme Music. I don't know what the availability is. And if you're living in the States, you know, you have to order from Spain. You could look on Discogs, see if there's any distributors in America. There's a lot of really good stuff that Dave is putting out. So, but part of this demo stack, the Revenant 1990 demo, one of my all-time favorites. I love this fucking band. Respect to Henry and the boys and John McKenty too for getting me into a lot of stuff over the years. Back then, for sure. Classic band. So we are down to our last band of this episode. And this last band and demo of the Welcome to Hell episode 12 Demo Stacks Volume 5 is this band right here. The SADUS. Got my SADUS shirt on. My Illusion shirt, but this is the Certain Death demo, my old beat up tape trader copy. This is a bootleg. An old beat up bootleg. Classic shit right here, though. I couldn't find my Death to Posers demo. I got that one too. So I got those first two. And then going through their history, I wasn't aware of this other one. I want to try to hunt that down too, at least the songs. But let's get into some classic fucking SADUS real quick. Yeah, you get an idea, you know. I like my thrash, fast and nasty, something that'll rip off your head and shit down your neck. That's definitely SADUS. The SADUS. Like I said, I had to fucking wear my fucking SADUS shirt today. In honor of the fucking SADUS and the Certain Death demo. So let's get into the classic old logo. Antioch, California's finest. Formed in 1985. Old school, man. Here's the SADUS right here. Definitely look like Antioch, California motherfuckers from the late 80s. That's you don't want to run into these guys in a dark alley in Antioch. So they started with the all-timer Death to Posers. Actually was looking for this and couldn't find it. Grabbed the Certain Death demo, which is fucking awesome too. It's a lot shorter. This DTP has a lot more songs. Love it though. Love it. They were also, SADUS was on the classic Raging Death compilation. So this infamous record, which I have this too, I have to do maybe, I don't want to do a whole show on it because actually some of the bands or whatever, but the some classic stuff on there is on Godly Records. I don't know if that was what's his face, Borovaj Kurjan or whatever his name was, that ended up writing for Metal Maniacs, working at Roadrunner, yada yada. He managed Death or whatever. I think that was his label. Can't remember 100%. Maybe I'm wrong. Not going to fact check that shit. And yeah, the Raging Death Comp was in 1987. The SADUS songs on there. There was 2 songs each band: Kill Team and Twisted Face classics, all timers. But the comp's also known for having Executioner on there, which later became Obituary. Find the Arise, man, fuck yeah, is on there. And then Ravage, Ravage, with those periods in there, as you can see on the cover right there. Later became Atheist. One of their classic songs, On They Slay, is on this. Great versions. And then here is the demo I'm talking about today. Certain Death. And I think they were just trying to get this out there just to keep the material flowing because there's only 2 songs. The classic Hands of Fate, which you just heard a clip of, and the instrumental Number 1. So, yeah, this is a true demo, you know, but it's pretty rare. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. We'll talk about it. I love SADUS. I know this demo is kind of rare. So we'll talk about it. It's fucking killer. I mean, you heard it. Definitely one of my favorites. This and Death to Posers. I love that old demo shit. And then, of course, the iconic classic Death Thrash album, Illusions, aka Chemical Exposure. And it was interesting too because these guys put it out themselves. SADUS Records. You know, especially back then, not a lot of bands put out their own shit. That's what was so cool about this. You order it straight from them. So that's what I did. And it wasn't like pen pal stuff where, you know, you corresponded back and forth, but me and my buddy at Bard Extinction of God, we wrote to the Say Dudes, and we got this really killer VHS like video from them, and it was like them just kind of hanging out, getting stoned in their jam room, and got a lot of weird psychedelic stuff, you know, because they were really into weed. But then it was just them recording this album and just jamming in their jam room, and it's fucking amazing, you know, just how fast and crazy they were. Just watching that, you know, it was cool. We used to just watch that fucking VHS tape until it fucking broke, basically. It's fucking cool. And 1988, this is just so ahead of its time, too, and how fast and ferocious it is, you know, just ripping stuff. And, yeah, there's the shirt. Let me get this. This is a King Fowley special. The classic Illusion shirt. Got this off of King, so thanks, King. Does those tomato ketchup Eddie or whatever the dude, the shirt stuff that they do or whatever. Back to this though. Unreal. Like I said, just how ferocious the fucking album is. It's unbelievable. They also self-released a tape and called it Chemical Exposure, and kind of did a different cover design for it and put that fucking thing out too. And I got a copy of that somewhere too. I got to look that up. I got the vinyl of the Illusions and then the tape of the Chemical Exposure. And I think I ended up getting a CD that had this album and the demos on there. I got to track that down too. It's fucking killer. Forget even who put that out. I wasn't even aware of this. This is The Wake of Severity demo in 1989. Never heard of it. I need to look it up. Good Riddance is a good song, man. That's on the Swallowed in Black album. So you have to hunt this down. And then there's Swallowed in Black. It's fucking killer. That's 1990. It was on RC Records, which is Road Racer. It was affiliated with Roadrunner. And fucking killer. Saw him on this tour too. They played with Sepultura and Obituary, and SADUS got stuck playing last at the country club, but we stuck around for them, and they fucking totally killed. I think they stole the show that night. All three bands are killer though, but I thought SADUS was badass. But half the crowd had left after Sepultura. They were the trendy band of the time, we're talking 90, 91, somewhere around there. So, but SADUS was fucking unbelievable. And then the next album was killer too, Vision of Misery. I liked it. It started, there was a couple songs on there I didn't really get into, kind of boring or whatever. But it's still killer. It still had the classic SADUS sound, had some fast stuff. They did get a little slower here and there. It's obviously, Swallowed in Black and Vision of Misery are definitely not illusions by any means, but they're both fucking killer. Swallowed in Black actually is pretty damn fucking killer for a second thrash album. A lot of bands just started going downhill after an album, so got to give them credit. But Certain Death demo, man, unreal. And let's see, I saw SADUS again in 2006. They did that Out for Blood album. Yeah, it wasn't that great. And I think they only played SADUS Attack and Kill Team, if I remember. They only played 2 old songs. The rest of it was a lot of new stuff. I think they might have played Good Riddance. And it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same as like the early 90s when I first saw them. They were incredible and fucking ripped your face off and fucking threw salt all over it. They're just fucking unbelievable. But that's what I'm trying to cover, this classic era and talk about these classic bands. To me, there's just, you can't top it. So even though whatever they did moving forward started getting weird, started getting lame, whatever, it doesn't really affect their old school legacy to me. I mean, how many bands can you name that everything they ever did was, killer? And it's very few. So a lot of bands just kind of get burned out or just going through the motions, change their styles. It's just, it is what it is, So SADUS definitely doesn't sound like they did back in this era. The Death the Posers, Certain Death, The Illusions, and even that Swallowed in Black album, some killer stuff on there. One of the best thrash bands ever. Gotta love the SADUS. So that will conclude Welcome to Hell, episode 12, the Demo Stacks, volume 5. So let me know what you thought. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment, make sure you subscribe and spread the channel around. Trying to get some more subs out there. See if we can get some more people attached to this shit, some more underground mutants that like to know about these old days, or some that were there that like to hear these stories, or hear about these classic demos and bands. So until next time, motherfuckers, I appreciate you, and we'll definitely see you soon. I'm going to try to get another video in this weekend, so in the meantime, enjoy this one. All right, so have a good one and an even better one tomorrow. Later, sickos. Who loves you, baby?